his first address to the nation, head of Presidential Leadership Council in Yemen vows to end the war and achieve peace in the country. The United Nations says it is seeking emergency operation to prevent catastrophic spill from safer oil tanker. Houthi militia escalates in Ma'rib, violating the United Nations brokered truce. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Rushan Fuad. Rashad Al-Alimi, head of the Presidential Leadership Council, gave his first address to Yemenis after assuming the authorities of the president. Al-Alimi briefed the nature of the next stage, the Council's vision on the situation in Yemen, and the Council's vision on peace and ending the war. The Leadership Council promises people to end the war and achieve peace through a comprehensive peace process that guarantees the Yemeni people all its aspirations, Rashad Al-Alimi said in the televised speech. Alimi, who has close ties with Riyadh, said the Council would work to deal with challenges in Yemen without discrimination. The formation of a new Presidential Leadership Council in Yemen has been widely received. This indicates that the world is united over supporting a political process and ending the war in the country. The following report has more details on this.
President Hadi issued a decree which includes the formation of a new Presidential Leadership Council. Yemenis nationwide have been impressed by such a change. They hope it could make a breakthrough in the current crisis. The U.S. State Department welcomed the formation of the new Presidential Leadership Council, in which the Foreign Minister Antony Blinken said that the department supports Yemenis' aspirations for democratic and transparent government. He added that the council includes diverse political and civil society voices, including women and marginalized groups. The European Union has also welcomed this step, and they have further issued an official statement saying that the Council will lead the country towards stability during the transitional stage. The statement described this step as an encouraging one, and it supports the recent truce under the auspices of the United Nations. Some Arab countries have also expressed their happiness with the decision, and they have sent their greetings to Yemeni people. Egypt said it hopes such a step will help Yemen complete the transitional phase and move towards security and safety. According to a statement issued by the Egyptian Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Thursday, Egypt sees this step as an important development and hope it helps brotherly Yemen to achieve safety and stability by reaching a Yemeni consensus to complete the transitional phase and end the conflict. Further, the state of Kuwait welcomed the decision as a step in line with the Yemeni consultation and GCC peace initiative. A statement by the Foreign Ministry expressed the state of Kuwait's full support to the Council's efforts to achieve stability, peace, and security for Yemen and its people. In an official statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Bahrain affirmed the kingdom's full support for the Yemeni Presidential Leadership Council to continue the efforts and tasks entrusted to the Council to manage state affairs. It seemed that the whole world has unified its word upon the new Presidential Council, and they hope it could make a breakthrough in the current crisis.
The United Nations warned of the leaky oil tanker stranded in the Red Sea. The UN's aid chief in Yemen said he would head to Gulf capitals next week to raise cash for Netherlands-backed mission to salvage safer tanker, which has been floating off Yemen's western coast for years. The United Nations has announced that it is seeking an immediate financial support to prevent the threat of spill from the safer aging oil tanker. The following report has more details.
A massive oil spill waiting to happen off the coast of Yemen. A decaying safer oil tanker at the coast of Yemen is waiting for environmental calamity. These statements came as a warning in most of World Press Organization pages to keep a terrified eye on what's going to happen because of this environmental disaster. Scientists have warned that safer oil tanker is at risk of leaking more than 1 million barrels of oil into the ocean. The tanker has been anchored off the coast since 2015, when the town closest to it was taken over by the Houthi militia during Yemen's ongoing civil war. Since then, maintenance has stopped for this tanker to confront its fate and threaten Yemenis' lives. The risk of oil spill is increasing due to erosion and could heavily impact Yemen and neighboring countries, especially that this area has vulnerable ecosystems. livelihoods and health are expected to be hardly affected, while the Houthi militia is still preventing UN teams from inspection. In a piece for CNN, one of the scientists has set the alarm about the tanker, saying that if the tanker causes a spill, it would be an environmental calamity, worse than the Exxon Valdez disaster in 1989, in addition to the harm caused to aquatic life, in which many of its worst impacts would directly affect people by producing toxic fumes that could easily cause sickness. He further noted that the fisheries people in the area are dependent on this ocean for food and for their livelihoods. Negotiations have so far failed to resolve how to secure the cargo and ship, which has been left without maintenance for the past 7 years. Vital firefighting and prevention equipment and the ship's generators are not working. The situation can get dire, as the vessel is at risk of igniting into a waterborne fireball, which could erupt with massive explosive force, wreaking even more potential ecological devastation.
The U.S. State Department announced the improvement of goods movement among governorate. This came after the negotiated truce throughout Yemen, including Taiz Governorate, which remains a priority and an important part of the UN truce. However, the Houthi militia are still imposing constrictions on Taiz Governorate. Intensive preparations are underway to launch commercial flights from Sana'a Airport. This comes as part of the UN-brokered 2-month truce between Houthis and the coalition. The following report has more details on this.
Sana'a International Airport closure has caused many obstacles for Yemenis. The airport closure in Yemen is like a hostage situation that has lasted for 5 years. Thousands of people in Yemen need urgent medical treatment that requires them to travel abroad. However, the situation in Yemen has caused the death of many people. The planned reopening of the international airport in Yemen has raised hopes not only for Yemenis living inside the country, but also the ones living abroad, who have been suffering to visit their families and their homeland in Yemen due to the airport shutdown. Yemenis have been denied the ability to go abroad for medical treatment, business, education, or to see relatives. Hundreds of students have missed out on scholarships and opportunities to study abroad. Thousands of Yemenis residing abroad are trapped or have difficulty visiting their homeland. But with the opening of Sana'a International Airport, Yemenis will have more freedom. Also, the opening of Sana'a Airport will lead to a quicker, easier, and cheaper way to bring goods and aid into the country. In addition, it might help in boosting the economy, as before the war escalated, many businesses and government organizations used the airport to travel outside the country to conduct business. But after the airport closure, many people lost their jobs and companies and suppliers providing services to the airport closed down or suffered economic losses. Also, the opening of Sana'a Airport will elevate suffering and prevent thousands of premature deaths. The reopening of Sana'a Airport could be a positive building step in support of the UN-led peace process in Yemen.
The Gulf Cooperation Council called on the World Bank to support humanitarian aid to Yemen. The Secretary General of the Council said during his meeting with the Vice President of the World Bank Group that the bank should contribute to supporting and stabilizing Yemen. This call was to support Riyadh's consultations to enhance the areas of humanitarian and social assistance to the country. UN Special Envoy declared his following for the latest developments in Ma'rib Governorate. He further urged all parties to show restraint and their continued commitment as promised towards Yemenis and according to the 2-month truce which all conflict parties have agreed on. The Houthi militia continues to violate the 2-month truce as government forces thwarted the Houthi attack on their positions south of Ma'rib. Military sources said that the Houthi militia launched a large-scale attack on the army's positions on the eastern Balak front and several fronts in the southern districts of Ma'rib. This report has more details.
At the time of the truce that was concluded to end the conflict, the Houthi militia increased its attacks on Ma'rib fronts. This came as a proof for the entire world that there is no hope for armistice with the militia. The Houthi militia wasn't ever a peace builder who are conducting every attack without bearing in mind any consequences that could happen to people and would cost them their lives.
Houthi militia keeps violating the truce on a daily basis. They attack the government forces and the governorate. This proves that the militia can never be trusted. Nothing can work but a military option with them.
While people around the world are promoting for peace, the Houthi militia took it as a chance to mobilize its militants to attacking fronts, which reveals the militia's insistence on the war, which seems to have no end. The reality forces us to believe that there is no way for ceasefire with the militia, who depend on war for its existence. Their belief wouldn't be changed unless it's deterred with real army intervention.
Houthi militia does not believe in peace. Despite the international efforts and the government commitment to peace, the militia takes all of that for granted. It is a militia of war, therefore it should be driven by force.
Despite all the international exerted efforts to apply peace, the Houthi militia didn't reveal any intention for peace and coexistence.
In spite of the international calls which urge Houthi militia to abandon military escalation and stick to peace, the militia turns its back to all that calls. This militia's motto, since day one, has been death.
أن تكون يوم من الأيام متعايشة مع اليمنيين.
الميليشيا الحوثية مشروع موت من البداية.
Houthi rebels is basically a project of death, intending to rule Yemenis by iron and fire. Peace aspirations of Yemenis have evaporated because of this militia, which knows nothing but killing, planting mines, and bombing houses.
Yemeni people received the truce with welcoming, and they were not aware that peace achievement is a dream that couldn't be implemented on the ground as long as the Houthi militia are insisting on the continuity of the war, and they refused all attempts to sit on a negotiation table and finding a solution.
The Houthi militia pursue their attacks on the fronts of El Dola. The spokesman for El Dola stated that the Houthi militia used medium and heavy weapons and bombardment with drones as well as random sniper attempts at civilian sites in towns of Hajar and El Juruf. The military media announced that the Houthi militia had committed 17 violations of the truce. The military media monitored 13 violations of the armistice committed by the Houthi militia in the southern districts of Al-Hudaydah and 3 violations in western Taiz, in addition to 1 violation at Hais. Coming next. In Lahj, a tough cooking gas crisis hits the governorate, making it difficult for people to cope during Ramadan.
هذا هو محل استهداف الحواث الذين استهدفوا المواطنين وهم نائمين. هذا هو الصاروخ. في الساعة 4 ماشينا الضربة من الحوثيين في المخيم. هذا يعني استشهدوا أولاد عمي، هذا استشهدوا أنا أخواني كلهم يعني شوف يعني قدام في الخيم. قدام في الخيم يعني في كل مكان، يعني رؤوسهم ما التقوش، الراس ما التقاش، الراس ما التقاش. الحمد لله هذا الحوثي.
Welcome back. Suffering of displaced people aggravates as the conflict continues. Displaced people from Hudaydah have headed to different areas to seek shelter. Some of them have come in Mu'alla district in Aden. The following report has more details on this.
The holy month dawns, and people across all governorates indulge in its sacred rituals. People in displaced camps, however, do not get to witness these customs unfold or experience the camaraderie brought by Ramadan. Their lives are riddled with pain as they are stranded away from their homes, after fleeing the ongoing war in Houthi-controlled areas.
مخيم الصوامع للنازحين.
The Sawama camp hosts 69 families, which amounts to 236 individuals in total. They are in dire need of foodstuffs and financial assistance. The sewage systems are in terrible condition. The camp had 3 public bathrooms, and when 2 went out of commission, only 1 remained for the entire camp, both men and women, to use. People here have no source of income. The ones who do primarily depend on rifling through trash cans to pick out plastic and selling it to recyclers for very limited profit.
The suffering of the displaced people compounds with the advent of the blessed month of Ramadan. In Mu'alla Aden, Al-Sawama camp lacks basic daily needs such as food, drinks, and social gatherings and atmosphere. The camp is facing abject poverty, and the situation may soon devolve into famine without the intervention of humanitarian organizations. But hunger is not the only thing that weighs heavily on the displaced people in this camp. Heat bears down on their backs as they fast, unsure if they'll even have water by the time the sun sets.
We call upon international organizations to assist us this Ramadan and to provide us with much needed commodities. Many of the women here are unmarried and they lack financial support. Many people in this camp suffer from mental and physical problems. No one knows what we are going through. We need money to buy fruits, vegetables, and rice. We have nothing to eat at the end of our fasting period. We need food rations, beddings, and beverages like juice or milk. We want to experience the joys of Ramadan like real people do.
When the Houthis' deadly mines aren't claiming innocent civilians' lives, they are stripping them of mobility and severing their limbs.
We are displaced from Hais, and we are currently in a Sawama camp in Aden. Our houses are symbol boxes and the sewage runs right above us. I was injured in Hodeidah. A landmine exploded and cost me both my legs, which were amputated from above the knee.
Many citizens have fled the country amidst the brutal bloodshed caused by the Houthi militia. Internally displaced persons, however, are tied to their land, marooned in camps that hardly have access to food or running water. International organizations must keep the humanitarian operation running to prevent a spike in people's suffering, especially during Ramadan.
Food and gas prices are still rising despite the Yemeni Riyal recovery. The Yemeni Riyal has witnessed improvement in Aden by more than 30%. Exchange companies, while citizens are still suffering from food prices and general needs. Banking sources said that the Yemeni Riyal witnessed a remarkable recovery against foreign currencies during the past 48 hours. They pointed out that the prices are not fixed and differ from one exchange company to another. People in Lahj Governorate suffer from tough cooking gas crisis. This has complicated life, especially during Ramadan. More details on this are in the following report.
This is how the scene looked like in light of the suffering that the citizens here in Lahj Governorate are experiencing as a result of the continuing domestic gas crisis. The suffering was doubled in conjunction with this tragic situation, with the days of the holy month of Ramadan, without any serious solutions to address it.
We are suffering here of gas crisis in the entire governorate, and other liberated areas are also suffering of suffocating gas, water, petrol and electricity crises. Consecutive crises in a row, and how can the citizen bear all of them together?
Many days pass and citizens queue up in long queues with their vehicles in order to obtain a gas cylinder, and hundreds of citizens from Aden Governorate flock to Lahj in search for gas. However, despite the suffering they are going through, they may return with nothing of what they want.
Says Sheban people in control should apply their role, as gas prices are aggravating every day. Furthermore, we can't find it. I came a long distance to fulfill this gas cylinder. Concerned authorities should find a solution for us, and even the price has increased to 18,000 riyals.
Everyone here is waiting to get this share that exhausted their lives, and suffering has exacerbated with the advent of the blessed month of Ramadan, in light of inaction and negligence by concerned authorities, so that the citizen would continue to live in a cycle of searching and waiting in a homeland that was considered one of the gas exporting countries.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia announced the provision of urgent support to Yemeni economy in the amount of $3 billion. Saudi Arabia and the UAE will equally provide $3 billion in support of the Central Bank of Yemen. Urgent support for the Yemeni economy also includes $600 million for the Oil Derivatives Fund and $400 million for development projects and initiatives. Here is a reminder of the main headlines. On his first address to the nation, head of Presidential Leadership Council in Yemen vows to end the war and achieve peace in the country. The United Nations says it is seeking emergency operation to prevent catastrophic spill from Safer oil tanker. Houthi militia escalates in Marib, violating the United Nations brokered truce. This is the end of the news. For more, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Yemen Today English. It was Roshan Fouad. See you soon.